Let's dive straight into today's explainer, because we are looking at one of history's absolute wildest survival epics, the Anabasis. We're talking about a legendary return by land set in a deeply ancient world where history and myth practically blur together into epic poetry. This isn't just your standard ancient battle story. It is the ultimate tale of survival against all odds, set right in the foggy, roaring landscapes of ancient Anatolia. Now, I want you to really picture the scenario for a second. What actually happens when an army loses its king right in the heart of a hostile empire? Just imagine the sheer panic of that. You're deep in foreign territory, completely surrounded by enemies, and the one guy who brought you there, the one guy with the actual plan, is suddenly gone. So how did they get there? Well, it kicked off with a massive Persian throne war. In month 1, young Prince Cyrus rounds up this massive army because he wants to overthrow his older brother, King Artaxerxes. By month 2, these colossal armies are clashing out in the totally barren, blazing hot plains of Mesopotamia. But then, month 3 hits, and disaster strikes. Cyrus is killed in combat. His royal rebellion is instantly over. And for his hired mercenaries, their nightmare is literally just beginning. Section 1. A deadly royal ambition, stranded in enemy territory. 10,000. That is the exact number of Greek mercenary soldiers left totally isolated. And remember, these guys were famous for their heavy steel armor and unflinching courage. But none of that mattered now. This wasn't just a lost battle. It was the total collapse of their reality. They were kingless, they had zero guides, and they were completely surrounded by a hostile empire, sparking a desperate, intense drive just to find a way back home. But out of all this chaos, somebody actually steps up. A young, incredibly wise commander named Xenophon takes the reins. He realizes there's absolutely no way they can go back the way they came, so he turns the army north, pointing them toward the Black Sea. But to get there, they have to trek through an impossible geography packed with raging rivers and towering, impassable mountains. Section 2. Myths and Mad Honey. Surviving a magical, hostile geography. You see, it wasn't just the terrain trying to kill them, it was the people, too. As they climbed into the steep, unforgiving mountains of eastern Anatolia, they were ambushed by the Carduchians. These were basically shadow-like warriors who rained deadly arrows down on them from the hidden rocks. It genuinely felt like ancient spirits were fiercely defending their lands, and that nature itself was just refusing to let them pass. And right when they probably thought they'd seen the worst of it, they stumble into a biological trap hidden right in the mountains, Bully, or as it's more commonly known, mad honey. Now, this is a mesmerizing but highly toxic honey produced in the Trabzon Mountains from the nectar of the local komar or rhododendron flower. Think of it as the absolute worst sugar crash in history mixed with a severe hangover. Okay, so picture this incident. You have these starving, exhausted soldiers, and they find these hidden beehives. Naturally, they gorge themselves on the honey. Well, this enchanting stuff causes mass poisoning. Hundreds of soldiers start hallucinating, losing consciousness, and collapsing. The whole camp practically turns into this surreal kingdom of delirium and sleep. But then, miraculously, the very next day, they all just wake up and recover, literally rising as if they'd come back from the brink of death. Absolutely wild. Section 3. The climax. The sea. The sea. Thalata, meaning the sea, the sea. After enduring freezing temperatures, near starvation, and those terrifying shadow warriors, they finally reach the summit of the eastern Black Sea Mountains. Imagine the deafening, tearful roar of 10,000 hardened soldiers screaming that exact phrase when, after months of a landlocked hell, a faint blue line finally appears on the horizon. To you or me just looking at a map, the Black Sea is just that, a body of water. But to these battered soldiers, it was the ultimate gateway to home, safety, and freedom. It meant they had actually survived the impossible. Section 4. The legacy. Xenophon's priceless cultural treasure. So the Anabasis wasn't just a military retreat. It's actually one of the very first major contacts between East and West. Xenophon didn't just lead his men out of there. He wrote it all down in a book called the Anabasis, meaning the Return of the 10,000. It's effectively history's first true memoir and travel book. He documented the ancient Anatolian peoples, their clothing, their food cultures. He revealed a landscape to the world that was both fiercely unyielding yet deeply hospitable. Section 5. Walking the Ancient Trail. The Anabasis today. Now, let's bring this right into the present day, because you can actually still walk this ancient path. But the contrast is mind-blowing. Back then, the goal was desperate survival. Today, it's a breathtaking adventure for history buffs and nature lovers. Instead of hostile tribes and deadly ambushes, you encounter incredibly welcoming locals and rich culture. And remember that poisonous mad honey? Today, the chestnut and rhododendron honey from those exact same mountains is a famous, carefully curated part of local gastronomy. If you follow the modern trekking route today, you can literally retrace the steps of the 10,000. It starts near the Iraq border on day 1. By day 5, you're traversing the massive, stunning plateaus of Erzurum and Gümüşhane, and right around day 10, you arrive at Trabzon, looking down from the majestic Sigana Pass, the likely exact spot where they first shouted for the sea. It makes for one of the most stunning nature walks in the world. Up in the foggy peaks of the Black Sea, history and myth are forever intertwined in the heart of Anatolia. Even now, if you stand on those misty summits, it feels like you can almost hear the echoing footsteps of Xenophon's soldiers marching right through the fog. So I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought to ponder. If you tracked the foggy plateaus of the Black Sea today, would you dare to taste the mad honey? Would you listen for the phantom shouts of Thalata? It's proof that the greatest stories aren't just stuck in the past. They are etched right into the landscape, just waiting to be rediscovered. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep exploring.